Stephen Navarro. She needs some help. Welcome.
Hey, thank you, Mayor Foxx and members of City Council for hearing me today. My speech is on Occupy Charlotte and our country's fiscal situation. My goal is to persuade you to stay the course on how you have treated this spontaneous uprising compared to other cities and support them in every way to do so in these protests. 10 years ago today, and during the 9/11 attacks, I was a sergeant in the 3rd Infantry Division in former Yugoslavia protecting Muslims from genocide. Being this spot in history made me very interested in foreign policy, politics, economics, history, philosophy, and warfare. It made me dedicate my life to others just like all of you here. Please take in what I'm about to say as if I were a citizen meeting at the grocery store who insisted on a minute of your time and trust that I'm sincere and not wanted just to rant on TV. Full disclosure, however, I am a Ron Paul supporter. Our country is broke, Roman Empire style, and big changes worldwide are going to happen in the next few years. TARP in 07 and QE since then just kicked the can of the day of reckoning down the road. Being the issue of the world's reserve currency allowed the federal government to transition us from a peaceful republic to a military empire, and we got cheap goods from abroad. Even though our country's been in decline and been uncompetitive for decades, we have been able to print and borrow to maintain our standard of living. The housing bubble was America's last spending spree. This system is rapidly coming to an end. The unraveling of the worldwide dollar reserve standard is why there are protests in the Middle East, in Greece, and now in our streets. The occupiers are right when they chant, banks got bailed out, we got sold out. A lot of people here have disdain for the occupiers because of their apparent flaws. However, their flaws and their protesters simply reflect Americans' youth today. It's not their fault. This is simply the stock of what America's putting out nowadays. Thank No Child Left Behind, our bankrupt culture, and the fact that we lost a work ethic. But despite them not being perfect human beings, the occupiers are better than 85% of people that are home watching football on weekends. The only problem is that they're directing their efforts at Bank of America instead of the Federal Reserve, the great counterfeiter, ironically, right across from 600 East Trade Street. It is a young America who will be stuck with the bills and face the prospects of a standard of living much lower than they once grew up with expecting, and that you also have enjoyed. This alone should command all of our respect. It was very naive and disgusting that our federal government to coordinate evictions of occupiers around the country as if ruining some tents and cracking a few skulls would make them give up and go home. Thank you for not participating in this. History will be very kind to you. Different cities will be hit differently when inflation starts getting out of hand. And for all I know, a city like Oakland might get burned to the ground. Imagine if that Iraq veteran would have actually died from the gas canister to his head. My opinion, our only hope is that the Tea Party and the Occupy movement find each other, form an unholy alliance between the anti-war far left and the anti-war far right, and force the federal government to end our military empire before we're bankrupt. It's well about time. I call shenanigans on their "we are the 99% nonsense," since they do not even want to start a dialogue with the Tea Party. But if they did and it happened in Charlotte, we can be the city that restores the republic. Please go down there and talk to them and try to make this happen. Can't out them for tonight. They're not protesting you after all. And I want to say this costs money and ruined property. What about your frugality when we built NASCAR museums, whitewater centers, and NBA arenas? Even if there's a small chance this can happen here in the Queen City, we facilitate it. If Greece are already throwing Molotov cocktails at police, Charlotte is a friendly city. Let's keep it that way. I might not agree with what all the occupiers say, but I'll fight for the right to say it. Why? Because I am America, and so can you.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Mr. Peacock.
No question, sir. I was going to have him repeat it because would you mind?
Okay.